My wife laughed at me, the kind of sharp, cutting laugh that drains the air from a room. "Guess you should have taken better care of him," she said, flicking invisible dust off her diamond bracelet. Her sisters followed suit, circling like vultures around a carcass. The lawyer shifted uncomfortably, papers rustling under his nervous fingers. My wife leaned back in her chair, smug, convinced she'd already won. I didn't react. I'd been waiting for this moment far longer than she could imagine. "Actually," the lawyer began, and that single word cracked the air like shattering glass. 3 years earlier, I had carried her father to bed the first time his legs gave out. Once a towering man, the kind who could silence a boardroom with a look. He had become frail, almost forgotten. His daughters couldn't handle it. Too real, too messy. So they left him with me, the son-in-law, the outsider. My wife claimed work kept her too busy. Her sisters were devoted mothers. So it was me spoon-feeding the man who once ran a multi-million-dollar company, washing sheets that smelled of medicine and regret. At first, I did it because he asked me to, then because someone had to. Eventually, I did it because of the way he looked at me. The guilt, the sorrow, the silent understanding that his own blood had already abandoned him. He began confiding in me more than in them, about the business, his mistakes, the sharks waiting for his demise. And one rainy night, he said, "They'll sell everything the moment I'm gone. You're the only one who still sees me." I didn't respond, but I never forgot those words. When he died, grief in that house was nothing but performance. My wife cried for her followers online. Her sisters bickered over funeral seating. I stood beside his casket in silence, just listening. That's when the first crack appeared. A voicemail. Her voice was bitter, impatient. "Dad's gone. Finally. Maybe now we can sell that useless company and move to Dubai." I played it twice. Then again, slower. Every word became fuel. I didn't confront her. I didn't yell. I just started writing everything down. She thought I was broken after the funeral, numb, detached. I let her believe it. It bought me time. I reached out to her father's lawyer, the man he trusted most. He remembered me from those long hospital nights. Said I reminded him of the man her father used to be. Careful, deliberate. For months, we went through files, contracts, trusts, company shares. Everything looked ordinary until it didn't. Buried deep in the paperwork, I found it. A clause transferring full control of the company to the caretaker of his estate. She had signed herself when we placed him in palliative care, too impatient to read the fine print. She thought it was just routine paperwork. In reality, she'd handed me the empire. I said nothing. Let her live in her fantasy, planning luxury vacations, bragging about her inheritance, spending money that wasn't hers. The farmhouse? That was part of the will, too. A small, forgotten property she mocked every chance she got. "Guess you'll be fixing tractors while I'm running board meetings," she'd sneer. I only smiled, because I already knew exactly how those meetings would end. And now, here we were, the reading of the will. Her sisters gasped when the lawyer listed their shares, the business, the so-called crown jewel. My wife smirked at me, triumphant. Then the lawyer adjusted his glasses. "Actually," he said, "according to Mr. Harlan's secondary trust amendment, controlling interest in the company transfers to the named executor of his personal estate, Mr. Daniel Reeves." The silence that followed was flawless, stretched tight like a hell breath. My wife blinked, confused. What does that mean?" "It means," the lawyer replied evenly, "your husband now owns the company. You and your sisters inherit non-voting shares. Essentially, he's your employer." Her complexion drained to white. Her sisters turned on her instantly. Chaos and heels and diamonds. I sat still, watching the empire she thought she owned crumble in her manicured hands. The lawyer slid a folder toward me. "Congratulations, Mr. Reeves. Your father-in-law spoke highly of your loyalty." I took it, didn't smile, didn't gloat, just nodded once. Her voice cracked. You planned this." I looked at her, really looked at her, for the first time in months. "No," I said quietly. He did. I just didn't stop him. That night, I drove out to farmhouse. The lights flickered. The air smelled of dust and earth. It wasn't much, but it was mine, and it was peaceful. I stood on the porch, watching the wind ripple through the fields. The same wind that once brushed against his hospital window. He'd seen them all for who they were. And in the end, he left everything to the one person who stayed when it stopped being convenient. The one who stayed for him. My wife used to say, "Money changes people." She was right. It didn't change me. It revealed who I'd been all along. As moonlight glinted off the edge of the deed in my hand, I whispered the words I never said at his funeral. Thank you. And yes, I took care of her, too.